How's it going today, gentlemen? Everybody get ready, focus for the game and everything?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell you guys a little bit about myself. Like I said, I'm Sergeant First Class Waynick, from right outside Atlanta, Georgia. All right, and on September 10th, 2001, I was just a normal high school senior, just like you guys. Just like some of you in this room, right? Getting ready to graduate, go to a small local college. But what happened on that following day changed my life forever. All right. Immediately after the attacks on September 11th, I enlisted as a combat medic in the United States Army. Graduated, went to basic training, went to my job training, got to my first duty station at Fort Stewart, Georgia. I got a part of a artillery unit. All right, so when I got there, I was in great shape. Physically fit. I was one of the most physically fit guys that was in the unit. And I played football, I played basketball in high school, and I had that competitive drive. I had to be the best. All right, that was my mentality. I had to be the best. Everything I did, I had to be the best. I had to be the best soldier, best PT, best medic, right? Everything I did, I had to be the best. But it was for my own personal pride. That's what I had kind of inside me. My own personal pride drove me to train, to work harder than everybody else. And I felt like I was pretty good. I was pretty cocky, I'm not gonna lie. I was an 18-year-old kid. I was pretty cocky. Felt like I was the best. And then all of a sudden, we got in formation one day, and they said that a unit was gonna be deploying to Iraq. And then later on, I found out that I was gonna be the senior medic for that unit that was deploying. So here I am, 19 years old, and I just found out that 350 soldiers were going to be relying on me to provide all their medical care, make sure that they're medical ready for a combat deployment, for a 12-month combat deployment. 19 years old, 350 people are now relying on me, all right? On top of that, I became a leader, and I had 3 soldiers, 3 other medics that fell under me and started working for me. All right, so now also I have to be responsible enough to make sure they're ready to be able to do their job if need be. But like I was telling you before, I wanted to be the best for my own personal pride. But at that moment, things changed. I no longer wanted to be the best for my own personal pride. I had to be the best because my brothers in my unit needed me to be the best. Right? They needed me at my best. It was no longer about myself. It didn't matter anymore. It was about that man to my left and right who relied on me to be able to do my job when need be. Right? They relied on me to make sure that I was ready. And let me tell you right now, that's when the real preparation, that's when the real training, that's when everything really starts. When you start doing everything that you're doing for that man to your left and right, and you stop worrying about your own personal pride, about your own personal self, and everything you're doing is for that person to your left and right, that's when you actually start training. That's when you actually start preparing and practicing and doing everything that you can. All right, because here's the deal. If we go over there and we go to Iraq and we're engaged with the enemy, and somebody doesn't make it home, doesn't get to come home to their wife, to their mom, to their dad, to their brother, sister, to their children, they don't get to make it home because I wasn't at my best, because I decided to slack off, because I decided not to prepare as much as I can. I could never live with myself like that. All right, 19 years old, and this is a responsibility that I had. I grew up real quick. That immaturity about worrying about, you know, my own personal pride, my own personal competitive drive, right, is out the door. Right, I grew up real quick. So we did it. We deployed. During that deployment, we did over 40,000 miles on some of the worst streets in the world, some of the scariest, roughest streets in the world in Iraq, right? Over 40,000 miles. Over 350 soldiers that are in our unit. By the end of that, during that deployment, we engaged the enemy a countless number of times, right? We took the fight to the enemy several times. Several firefights, countless number of times that we took the fight to the enemy. And by the end of that deployment, I got awarded with the Bronze Star Medal and the Combat Medic Badge. And let me tell you, I felt pretty proud about that, right? Bronze Star, I was a specialist at the time. You don't really know it. Coach Luttrell knows that doesn't really happen too often, where somebody at my rank was going to get awarded a Bronze Star Medal. All right, and on top of that, I got the Combat Medic Badge. That's what you see right here. All right, that is the pinnacle of my profession. That means I am the best at what I do. I've been tested, I have the experience, and I've taken care of people in combat, right? That is, as if you're a medic in the Army, you get that C&B, that combat medic badge, and you're the man. That's what that means, right? So, as they were pinning those medals on my chest, I was chest puffed up, right? But still, I just turned 20, pretty happy with myself, pretty proud. People within my unit said I was one of the best medics they'd ever seen, right? Stayed cool, calm, collected. All that was because of the preparation that went into that. Once again, that personal pride started coming back into play. And I'm not saying you don't have personal pride in yourself or anything like that, but I did feel proud of myself. But when we got back, and every single one of those soldiers got to come home and come across that parade field and hug their mom, hug their dad, hug their wife, and hug their kids, sisters, brothers, that's when the pride really hit once again. Again, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about the fact that they got to come home, and I played a part in that. There's a reason I played a part in them being able to come home and see their family again. And that right there is pride, right? Because they got to do it. Not because I was there, not because I got a combat medic badge or a Bronze Star, but because they got to come home. And I played a part in that. Their families came up to me and thanked me for taking care of their loved ones while we were over there. Once again, that's a pride that I'll never probably feel again. That's an unbelievable pride that I'll never forget. But everybody making it home wasn't just because I was the best medic that was in the unit or anything like that. I played a part in it. That was my role on the team. Everybody in my unit had their role, and they were the best at it, regardless of what it was. Whether they were the driver, a mechanic, the machine gunner, whatever it was, they were the best at their role on our team. And they performed it to perfection. That's how we got to come home, all of us got to come home. Because they all did their part, they took their role on the team, they took ownership of it, they made it their own, and they perfected it. And they did it for that person to the left and right. Right? They did it for the man that was standing to the left and right. That's why they did it. Same reason why I did. Same reason why I perfected my role. So, right now I'm going to get into a little bit more, but while I'm talking about this next piece, I want you to think about what is your role on this team? What is your role on this team, right? That's what I need you to think about while I'm talking about the next piece of my, my little spiel here. Who here remembers when Osama bin Laden got killed? All right, pretty much everybody here. Who here remembers it was SEAL Team 6 that was the one that took him out? All right, the majority of you here, right? And those dudes were bad. SEAL Team 6 is bad, right? So, not going to take anything away from them. They played their part to perfection during that execution. They found the worst terrorists in the world, found them in a remote location, went in and took them out. But what you don't know is who was the pilot that flew that mission for them to be able to get into that area, right? Don't know that guy. Who was the mechanic that worked on that helicopter? You don't know that guy, right? But that pilot came in, and as stealthy as possible, an unbelievable skill, was able to put them in the middle of nowhere without being seen or heard, so they can be able to get out of that helicopter, go in, and raid those buildings and take out Osama bin Laden, right? So he was the best at what he did. He was amazing. He knew his role on the team, and he was the best at it. Take it back a little bit further. Think about the mechanic who works on that helicopter, right? Has that helicopter ready to go at a moment's notice. Being able to go into the worst, roughest terrains in the world. That helicopter, everybody on that team knows that helicopter is good to go, right? Why? Because that mechanic did his job, knew his role on the team, perfected it, and that helicopter was able to operate at a moment's notice, right? Take it back a little bit further. Think about the supply guy, right? All the way in the back. Think about the supply guy who ordered the parts, was able to get parts for a helicopter in the middle of a combat zone so that mechanic could be able to work on the helicopter and be able to make it to where the pilot can fly that helicopter at a moment's notice and be able to take SEAL Team 6 in the middle of nowhere, drop them off, SEAL Team 6 can go in there and take out the enemy, right? So this is the way that the Army works. This is the way that a team works. The reason why that mission was so successful, I could keep going all the way back to the recruiter that put those people in, right? That's the way the Army works. That's the way a team works. That's the way a winning team works. Because everybody knows their role on the team. And they take it, they make it their own, and they perfect it. They do the best they can, not for them, but for the person to their left and right. All right, so what you need to be thinking about is, what is your role on this team? All right, it might come down tonight where somebody springs, a 90-yard run for a touchdown, right? Everybody's, clapping, right? Probably going to see that running back or somebody that made that play in the newspaper, right? Probably not going to hear about that guy that made the critical block that sprung that guy loose, right? But that was his role on the team. Somebody might get injured today, God forbid, might get injured, and somebody who doesn't typically get to play might have to step in and execute to perfection and be able to, for the team to be able to continue to move on, right? That might happen. But you got to be ready for it. You got to be able to accept that is your role on the team, and you need to perfect it. All right, so really what I need you to know is that you need to know your role on the team. All right, regardless of whether it's football, your community, your family, whatever, you need to know your role, and you need to perfect it, and you need to practice it with somebody else's intentions in mind, not your own. You do that, and you cannot be beat. I promise you that. Living proof. 40,000 miles, countless number of firefights, 350 people left, 350 people came back. Right? We were a bad team. Everybody knew their role and perfected it. All right, so the other thing I'm going to do tonight is something that I've done in the past. Other football teams, other soldiers of mine, future soldiers of mine, and stuff like that. All right, and if you guys like it, you can take it, make it your own. All right, it's a little bit of a like a motto type thing. All right, so what I'm going to say is, who are we? You're going to reply back with Marquette. All right, practice it real quick. Who are we?
Marquette.
All right, you got that idea? So I'm going to do that 3 times. All right, I'm going to say, who are we? You're going to repeat it back. You're going to answer it 3 times. And then I'm going to say, what are we? And you're going to say, Mustangs. All right, let's try that. What are we?
Mustangs.
All right, you got it? So I'm going to do that 3 times. Everybody got that? Pretty easy, right? Pretty easy?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Who are we?
Marquette.
Man, that's weak. That's weak. Who are we?
Marquette.
I ain't gonna cut it tonight, gentlemen. You take that type of intensity out on the football field, you're not coming back with a W. Who are we?
Marquette.
Who are we?
Marquette.
Who are we?
Marquette.
What are we?
Mustangs.
What are we?
Mustangs.
What are we?
Mustangs.
Let me tell you, you guys were weak starting off, right? Why is that? Because I was weak starting off. I didn't have any intensity in this, right? As my intensity grew, your intensity grew. So when you, tonight, on the football field, you see somebody who's down, you come up to them with some intensity, and you bring them back up, all right? You might make a mistake, and that might get your head down, and your intensity might come down, but we can't have it tonight, all right? If you see it, you walk up to that person, and you're like, hey, let's go. Let's do this, right? Get them back up, get them intensity, and let's go out and get a W tonight, all right? Hey, I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me out here tonight. So I'll be out there rooting for you guys. If you ever have any questions, come by, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. But I appreciate your time tonight.